Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and we're joined once again by Mark Gonzales over at First National Bullion. And this is an incredibly important video, by the way, my friends, because we are witnessing something historic. Bank accounts are being closed across the board. In the face of a banking crisis, in the introduction of these digital IDs, Vietnam has shut 86 million bank accounts amid biometric rules. We're seeing UK bills that are mandating digital IDs. We're also seeing them push it for children. We're seeing it brought out across the board. They have a global digital ID that's being tested that will be showcased to policymakers next week. Almost every country in the world is doing this. We've done videos on this before. I urge people to actually check out my video on the mandatory digital ID launch and what that means for everyone. But nonetheless, how does this affect you and your bank account? This is a big one because we're seeing this in the face of major warnings about a global debt from the IMF saying that in the next couple of years, it'll be completely unsustainable and a complete collapse will occur. As we're seeing gold hit $4,000 an ounce, and we're seeing a lot of pullback and bouncing back and forth here with gold, but historic news on gold. A lot of people are pointing out the obvious that the soaring gold prices could be a warning sign to the economy when we are seeing a wave of inflation that is absolutely historic. Many are saying that gold prices could reach $6,000 to $9,000 an ounce, and even more so, some at Fortune magazine are saying that we could see a $10,000 per ounce gold in just 3 years, though I think it could be a lot more in the face of a major financial crisis. But in the face of a major financial crisis, do you want to be stuck in banks that are collapsing, that don't actually have your wealth insured properly through the FDIC as a claim? Do you want to be in a situation where you could be stuck on a complete censored digital ID system? I don't think so. They are launching CBDCs. The digital euro is coming out this month. This is why we need to get these solutions out there and not take our time on this and not sit on our hands. I urge people to check that link in the description before we get into this. firstnationalbullion.com/schedule-consult/ it has to be that exact link. There you can get out of the CBDC system. You could work with Mark Gonzales, who, of course, again, is awake and knows what he's talking about, has been doing this for a long time. This is a safety net. Gold, silver, platinum, or palladium. You could hold that gold or silver in your hand, put it in a vault, put it in an IRA outside of the traditional IRA system, and schedule an appointment for a free consultation with Mark Gonzales and a complimentary investors package you'll get with that. Let him know in the comments when you sign up that you found him at World Alternative Media, or WAM, WAM. Now, let's get into this. So, a lot of people are saying that this bank account shut down, 86 million bank accounts in Vietnam shut down. Oh, it's not going to happen here. Well, and a lot of people are also pointing out, oh, well, some of those accounts were unused and some of them were fraudulent. What do they claim as fraudulent? Anyone that doesn't sign up for the biometric rules. So they can basically pigeonhole you with that and Shanghai you with your bank account, my friends. This is incredibly dangerous going forward. And we know they're debanking people. We know they're bringing in rules in places like Canada where they say if you say the wrong thing online, you could be banned from accessing the internet. They are bringing in digital IDs across the board and banks are failing. Mark, in the face of this, inflation, bank failures, lack of insurance on these major banks, and of course, these bank closures, not to mention digital IDs and biometrics. What are we facing here, and why should people be concerned?
Oh boy. Well, first of all, it's good to see you. It's been a while. Where to start? I mean, there's so much to unpack. It's been a while since we've done a video, but why should you be concerned is because everything that not only Josh and I have been discussing and talking about for this channel for years now is not only is this coming to fruition, but you're seeing it start to accelerate. So let's start at 86 million bank accounts. All right. Of course, the U.S. is not going to come out immediately and start shutting bank accounts because they're mandatory in some sort of digital ID. We are the empire. We're going to be one of the last to fall. So what you see happening is you see the implementation of certain test markets to see how this is going to roll out. And a lot of people that heard about it in the U.S., and I know a lot of people in the U.S. that have not still heard about this, you may be thinking, look, okay, well, it's not going to happen to us. It's always someone else's problem until it's your problem. So Vietnam has 200 million bank accounts and they closed 86 million of them just simply because people didn't want to get biometric. Now, it scares the shit out of me because the cubic ID here in Mexico, as you know, is supposed to go off in February. President says they're not going to do it. Well, we'll see.
Well, and also there's Real ID in the U.S. Tied in with the Genius Act. So, of course, Americans are facing a very imminent move towards that. While it won't be mandated immediately, look at the UK. They've already mandated actual digital IDs, things that I was called a conspiracy theorist and a crazy person just a few years ago for saying they would do. So, I mean, it is actually moving fast. Like the clock is hitting midnight soon.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely moving fast. It's just not something that's so in your face.
Yeah.
Right. So you draw this little complacency. And then in regard to the digital ID in UK, that information coming out, they already have this. We've been saying it for a while. They already have a framework in place. They're just now starting to tell you about it. And if you read that article, you read it. As we know, it's not mandatory, but many applications will not be accessible without the new program. Oh, well, that's fine. You don't have to get some sort of, medical treatment, but it's your choice if you do or not. You just won't keep your job.
Oh, this is the thing that drives me the most crazy, Mark, is that this idea when people say it's not mandatory, you don't have to have it. It's just if you don't have it, you can't be seen at the hospital. You can't access your bank account. You can't but those are private businesses. This isn't unconstitutional. I mean, the complacency and the amount of people that will go out and try to make excuses for this is just, it's insane because, yeah, it's not mandatory per se. You just can't access anything in your own life without having it. It's like going to a bunch of places that say you can only have a credit card, and then you went bankrupt once and you can't own a credit card, and now you're screwed for getting groceries. I mean, this is a horrible situation for people to be in, especially in the middle of a financial crisis.
Well, it's terrifying because what you're starting to see is that margin event that I've been talking about. Right. I mean, you had some serious liquidity issues last week, and not to mention that just before that, 2 weeks ago, Tricor, which is one of the largest subprime lenders, I mean, you're talking just billions and billions and billions of dollars. They just went out of business. And then we find out that, guess what? They had some off-balance sheet trades and they have some shadow banking. We don't even know how big this is going to be, but that margin event has already kind of happened. So, all right, let's get on to gold. Gold crossed 4,000. Go back and look at the videos. I told you the beginning of last month that I believed by the end of the month, based on the trajectory of where gold was going, the demand for it, and things that I saw happening to the economy, gold was going to break 4,000 this month. I was off by about 5 days. Guess what? By the end of the year, I think gold's going to be almost 6,000. And it's not because that gold's the greatest thing. It's the money. It's the actual money, and everything else is just the accounting measure of it. So the dollar's getting weaker, gold's getting stronger. A lot of people are talking for highs on gold of 6, 9, maybe even $10,000. Hey, yeah, that's low end, people. I've done the math. Gold has to cover 40% of the monetary default or monetary basis. This is historically accurate, and have a conversation with me. Fill out the link below. We'll talk. I'll walk you through it. This goes back all the way to the Roman and Athens Greek Empire. So if you take not only the monetary base of largest number of M2, you take treasury debt and you take unfunded liabilities, you take our gold ounces. Where does our gold ounces, you measure by the US because we're the dominant yield, where do our ounces need to be to resolve 40% of our debt? And that's $157,000. Silver traditionally trades at a 15-to-1. That would put silver at 10,000. It's hard for me to say silver is going to hit 10,000, but whoa, we closed above 50, only by a penny.
Yeah.
But it does not matter. Now, I expect everything to be thrown at this to try to keep this price from rising as fast as it has been. So, example, silver, Friday, 130% of mining production was thrown at it in paper contracts, $1.1 billion to try to keep this market down. That's a whole lot of silver. And guess what? It did. It brought it down $2, but we closed at $50.01, everybody. And now gold's back above $40,000. And you now have with Stephen Mullen, he was in front of the congressional meeting, and he was talking about now essentially behind the scenes, the third mandate. So you have the unemployment, you have the interest rates, but now you have long-term interest rates. And I was saying a while ago that you're going to probably have a yield curve control go into effect sometime soon. I'm thinking it's probably going to be first quarter. What yield for curve, control is if the Fed says that the rates are going to be 2%, but there's not enough domestic or foreign demand to pick up the slack to keep 2%, the Fed's going to come in and do it on themselves. And it's not going to be through standard market operations where a bank is going to buy the treasury, season them on the Fed balance sheet, swap them over to them about 3-6 major. No, they're going to go directly to the treasury and buy. That's what Zimbabwe did. Okay, so we're becoming a banana public. We're doing short-term 4-week payday loans to try to keep the lights on. We're seeing around the globe digital IDs the ramifications of not complying with the digital ID, and we're having everything but the kitchen sink thrown at the actual money of the world to try to cap a price. It's just not going to work. It's going to slow the train down. But yeah, load up.
Yeah, I mean, when we're seeing the gold prices move the way they are, that is obvious to most of us that this is a move to for people to stock up while they can. Obviously, there's shortages. Obviously, we're walking into inflation. Obviously, inflation is skyrocketing. Think of what you could have bought in 2005 versus now, or even 2015 versus now, or even 2019 versus now, and then they'll give you some phony inflation rate over what the dollar was worth then versus now. And it's nonsense when you actually look at the numbers on the things that you need the most in the stores, especially food, and especially meats and stuff like that. Look, we are facing down a financial crisis the likes we've never seen before, and it happens over time. It doesn't happen overnight. But now we're seeing this wave into, these other assets. For example, again, gold isn't an investment in my opinion, though. Obviously, in the face of potentially seeing a $10,000 gold in the next couple of years, or potentially even more than that, yeah, that does sound pretty good. But remember, we're basing that versus the dollar, which is devaluing so much. So you have a bunch of money is in your bank account since 2015 in your savings, and in that time you could have had it in gold. You could have preserved your wealth. You could have actually gained money overall versus the dollar rate, what we're seeing today. And of course, people are still sitting on their hands saying, why now? Again, when we see this kind of collision course, and it is a historical collision course of what we're seeing with inflation right now, we are going to face off against a time where the dollar it'll cost $100 to buy a loaf of bread. Yes, that time is coming. Eventually, it will come, and it's not that far off. You'd be surprised how far off it actually is. It's not much. And of course, we're seeing this in other countries. And of course, there will be a time where if you want to buy a car, first of all, you'll need a really good carbon credit score. You'll need a really good social credit score. By the way, they're already implementing that in multiple places. And by the way, if you're watching this video, chances are your credit score is not going to be very good unless you decide to start snitching on your neighbors. So again, don't put yourself in that position. Don't be dependent on the banks. Remember the bail-ins that Mark and I have talked with you guys about before. And maybe if you are new to this, I'll let you guys quickly know the recap of it, which is Basel III was implemented back in 2024 in 63 central banks around the world. Basel III allows them to essentially just take money through a bail-in regime, as they call it, out of your bank account and pay off their debts. And essentially none of that is actually insured by the FDIC because the FDIC is bankrupt, which they themselves admit to in their own meeting papers. So again, we are witnessing that shift. Obviously, if that happens, yes, people will be out in the streets protesting. What does that mean? They'll say, hey, we have this other thing for you, this solution for you. We'll give you credits. We'll give you points on this new digital system because we cannot pay you back the dollar, but we have something new for you. This is one of the ways they get you. And if your money is in the bank and you are putting all your eggs in one basket in such a way, you are going to end up in that situation, eating food rations, dependent on getting good credits within the social construct of things, which I assume most of you guys aren't exactly the most in with the social crowd worldwide, because obviously you don't want to go along with what you've been told to go along with. You are free thinkers. This is a reason why you need to withdraw as much as you can from your dependence on banks. And with that 86 million bank accounts being closed in Vietnam, that is just one of the many warning signs going forward. And one of the many reasons, on top of inflation, on top of the banking crisis, on top of, this inflationary depression we're walking into, this is why you guys all need to heed the warnings by the IMF and heed the warnings, no matter how bad the IMF might be. Remember, they were funded with the confiscation of gold, though it was a voluntary confiscation. A lot of people forget exactly how that happened. But the IMF and the Exchange Stabilization Fund back in the 1930s got a huge amount of funding through gold that was taken by the state and repurposed to then fund these entities. All the same, when they are acknowledging what those in alternative media are also have been acknowledging for quite some time, we know that clock is coming close to midnight. So I want to urge people once again to check that link in the description. Firstnationalbullion.com/schedule-consult/. It has to be that exact link. And there in the description, you'll find it. You can find this link and go and get gold, silver, platinum, or palladium. You can buy physical gold, silver, put it in your bank, put it in your hand, put it in all these other different entities that you can keep your money safe in. There's so many options. An IRA outside of the traditional IRA system. Schedule an appointment for a free consultation with Mark Gonzales there, and a complimentary investors package will come with that, as well as let him know in the comments that you found him at World Alternative Media or WAM, WAM. Very important going forward. Don't allow yourself to sit and ruminate on this for too long, because then you will be left behind because of your own lack of action on this. Again, it's not like it's going to happen tomorrow, but it could. It's not like it's going to happen next week, but it could. And that's the whole thing. It's not like it could happen in 5 months, but it could. We're in a very tumultuous world, and taking your time on this is to your very own detriment. Anything that you want to add to this as we close this off, Mark?
Yeah, absolutely. You brought up some good points. Okay, so here's the thing. The IMF is gangster, and they're coming out with the warning saying that we're hard times ahead, even though they're really the cause of the hard times. Not the only cause, but one of the causes. So their job is to kind of give you this heads up as if they have your back. All right, Dad's there to help you. But I'm here to tell you, it's not going to happen, right? You're not going to have these personal bailouts. You're not going to have this money credit coming through, fake pandemics. You're not going to have that. No one's coming to save you, right? So this crowd that we're talking to, yes, you're right. I would imagine extremely awake, but being awake without action means absolutely nothing. You got to be your own hero in the story. You really do. And time is limited. It's not just because the world may collapse in 5 months to a year. Before a collapse happens, you're not going to have an opportunity to get actual metal, because it's all going to be in someone's hands. Be the person that comes from a position of strength to protect you and your family going forward. At least you have someone to work with. That's all I got to say. The links below. Reach out. Let's talk.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, just one more thing. Remember what happened in Venezuela before the hyperinflation hit? They sold off all their gold. And we're seeing a lot of countries now actually try to bring in huge gold reserves and repatriate gold from different countries right now. But too little, too late for a lot of them. But we know what the elites are doing, and they're stocking bunkers full of gold. If they're doing it, they know something that perhaps we aren't supposed to know, but I think most of us understand what's happening. And that's just all the more reason to get involved today and get prepared today. And again, that link is in the description, firstnationalbullion.com/schedule-consult/ there. You have to use that exact link. Don't use just the main First National link. You have to use the whole thing. And of course, check your email, check your junk folders after if you don't hear back, because it most likely just went to your spam or junk folder. So keep an eye out once you sign up. And again, that is all in the description. And as always, it's always good to talk with you, Mark. And we have a lot more coming up. There's so many stories, so many that we just tried to package a bunch into one today, and they all relate. It's just, there's so much to go into, and we'll be back with a lot more on a lot of those stories. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson and Mark Gonzales signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.